Welcome to Digital Wave Riders, a podcast where we unveil the hidden stories of business success from entrepreneurs and innovators and how they engage in the digital landscape. This podcast is brought to you by NextWave Services, Charlotte's #1 web designer. Check them out at nextwaveservices.com. I'm your host, Brandon Cassiano. Let's delve into our next success story. Hello, everyone, and welcome back to the Digital Wave Riders podcast. I am joined today by an expert adventurer, the Galapagos guy himself. Welcome, Jeff Boyd, to the show. Thank you for joining me today, Jeff.
It's my pleasure. Thank you.
Now, I got to be honest, as somebody who used to watch the Jeff Corwin show and who also had an iguana as a pet, not a marine iguana, but a green iguana, I feel like I should make that distinction there. I don't know much about the Galapagos Islands aside from a seemingly beautiful kind of paradise vacation stay. So talk a little bit about your first experience in that region of the world, how it happened, and what kind of kept feeding into your passion about the Galapagos Islands.
Yeah, good question. So a lot of folks don't know where the Galapagos Islands are to start with. They know it's a place they've heard of. It's beautiful. Charles Darwin, the whole, natural paradise experience. But it's off the coast of Ecuador. And so it's actually one of the provinces of Ecuador. And I was a college student in 1995. To date myself, I did a semester in Quito, the capital of Ecuador. As part of that program, our student group went to the Amazon jungle and the Galapagos Islands. I got deathly ill in the jungle. It was hot and humid. It wanted nothing more to do with that. But the Galapagos was this, as you said, just a gorgeous paradise where the animals don't fear humans. The water is crystal clear blue. So you're swimming with fish like you're in an aquarium or at the zoo. And it's just the coolest experience.
Now, does that kind of desensitization to humans, does that kind of act as a double-edged sword, or does it just make it so much more of an immersive experience?
It makes it more immersive. So the animal life there has not had natural predators. They're very, very remote. There's 4 currents coming together. It's colder Pacific water. And so there's a lot of species that just never had to evolve to kill another species to survive. There actually is a bird there that cannot fly because it doesn't have to. And over time, it learned not to. And so you're able to get more immersive experiences with the wildlife because they're not afraid. And they do a great job at protecting them now. The guides are
that's good
serious.
Too,
yeah. To follow the park rules. If you touch an animal, they will fine you and put you in jail. So it's pretty.
I was going to say, I've got family who recently started spending time in Hawaii, and I know there are pretty big rules over in Hawaii for turtles and for touching seals even by accident if they even swim up to you. So I was going to wonder about how it works over there on the islands.
Yeah, similar to Hawaii, as you mentioned. There's a 6-foot rule for wildlife. Now, when you're in the water and the baby sea lions who are really playful come swimming around you, I've been bumped into once or twice, slightly. They're so fast and agile. They're not going to hug you, but there's occasional slight interaction. But on land, you're very, very cautious to not step over animals, go around them, not get too close with your cameras, no flash photography in space, that kind of stuff.
Gotcha. And I was going to say, I think I saw a TikTok 2 days ago where, I don't know where they were, but surfers were like a baby seal pup hopped onto a board because it was so curious. So like when you're in that situation, not on land, you're kind of more at the mercy of the elements in a situation like that. How do those regulations work? Clearly you don't want to, push the seal off, it's just a curious baby animal. So how do you figure that moment out if it happens?
Yeah, good question. So, there's no surfing there, but we do kayaking. And so I guess a seal could, a baby sea lion could jump onto the kayak, but more common, the sea lions will jump onto the back of the yacht. And so literally you'll be standing there in the back of the boat and the sea lion just plops right up on the platform and rides along with you for an hour and then jumps off. And so it becomes part of your group on the boat, which is really, really cool.
That's so interesting. I think when most people see videos of seals or sea lions hopping onto boats, it's because they're running away from orcas or something like that. But if they have no predators over there on the islands, they're just yo, what's up?
They're
What does
totally
this
chill.
thing do, basically?
Yeah,
That's so cool.
the older sea lions just sunbathe all day. They live a dog's life in the Galapagos. They're on the beach, just hanging out, jump on the
Right.
boat, go for a free ride. They're not scared of humans because we don't bother them, and it's all kosher.
Must be nice, man. So
Now
you
there are some
visit
bigger
there when you're
animals.
still in school. Yeah, yeah. Talk about those.
So there are times where we're swimming near hammerhead sharks. Most of those are
Mm,
mid-sized kind of babies that you're going to be closer to. A lot of the adults tend to hide,
sure.
and they're out fishing or hunting for their children. So it's the younger animals that are more playful and more approachable. But you can come across some larger sharks. But the guides and the captain of the boat know where you can and cannot snorkel safely with different animals, right? And so out in the open sea, there definitely are
Right.
dangerous sharks, but you're not allowed to get off the boat at that point. But you do see them alongside the boat sometimes. The captain will say, "Hey,
Gotcha.
go to the back deck. There's a white shark in the water and two whales off to the left." So you check them out from a distance.
Right. And not to spend too much time on the zoology of it all, but uh is there any kind of misconception among like which shark breeds have, or which shark species have the worst or temperaments? I was under the belief that tiger sharks were kind of more uh were kind of worse off, but I'm kind of recently hearing that hammerhead sharks are not as docile as maybe previously assumed. Is that true?
I don't know. I must admit to not being an expert in the zoology or the marine biology. I'm much more of
Okay.
a logistician and an adventurer. But my impression is that the hammerhead
Right.
sharks have always been, very amenable to humans in the Galapagos. At least there's never been an issue with the hammerhead.
Gotcha.
Yep.
I may have seen just a few flukes then. So you
Yeah.
visit the region for the first time when you're very young. As you say, you almost die, or you got close. But you kept that love for it. So talk about how you took that earlier set of experiences, and now you've built it into this career where you help facilitate. As you said, you're very focused on logistics. You've developed it into helping people facilitate these well-rounded trips into that region. So talk about how that business came to be, and is officially delving into the travel content world.
Yeah, good question. Yes, my current job title would be a travel designer or a travel planner, and I help people figure out how to have a great trip to South America. Because I've worked there and been there so many times, which is really how I got into this. All my previous jobs in my career have been business development, sales in Latin America, back and forth, living there. And in my free
Mm,
time, I would explore on the weekends, right? So if I was in Peru, I'd go to Machu Picchu. And then I also took volunteer groups for one or two jobs. So I've taken 10 groups to Machu Picchu myself. And so about 9 years ago, I was a client of a small travel design shop called Untamed Path Adventures, helping my old boss plan a 50th extravaganza to Chile to go whitewater rafting.
mhm.
And after that trip, I was like, I need to spend more time in nature and really love the travel aspect and helping other people explore places that I've been to and love. And so I actually emailed the
Yeah.
couple that owns that company and said, "Hey, will you hire me? I'm ready to quit my job, move to Colombia, South America, and be your guy there." And they said, "No, we can't really
Yeah.
hire you, but we're looking to sell the business, and you'd be a great person to buy it." And so I ended up buying the company, which I still own and run 8, 9 years later, called Untamed Path Adventures, which
Yeah.
just plans trips in South America, including the Galapagos. And I decided this year to kind of create a new brand called the Galapagos Guide, just focused on the Galapagos underneath
Hmm.
that business. So that's how it came together. There's a lot of time in the region,
Very
a lot of
cool.
love, and got hooked.
So it's kind of the perfect expression for someone with your kind of experience, basically.
It really is. Yeah, to go from bigger companies, more normal type jobs to this sort of a change. It was a big jump, but at the same time, it's a perfect fit. Like it's a reason I really do love and love to send people to.
So delving into the travel sphere, obviously that's a strong and kind of saturated industry in and of itself. So when it came to developing, kind of a central hub for people to learn about you, your experience, what you offer, and what people can expect working with you when they take these trips. What was important to you in regards to how you wanted to make sure that you, as the Galapagos guy, the idea of this business was established digitally?
Yeah, good question, Brendan. So the Galapagos Guy as a brand, our idea was, let's communicate the idea that I'm not just a resource for information on the Galapagos, but rather the guy you hire to plan your trip to go there. A lot of other sites you go to, they're very informative, very educational, but you think, am I really hiring this company, or they just give me free information? So I wanted to give enough information to be a teaser, right, to get you interested and hooked, and also to show my expertise, but then to cause the viewer to want to contact me about planning a trip.
Right. So logistically, how does that look when someone reaches out to you? They've spoken with you, gotten that teaser, and they're like, "Okay, let's pull the trigger on this." So what does that look like from there? Like, what does the planning look like for these adventures?
Yeah. So most people who go to the Galapagos have heard of it, they know of it, and they want to go there, right? They're not just Googling favorite trips this summer. They're Googling Galapagos Islands trips. Right? And so when they see my site, hopefully they get inspired enough to say, wow, this guy knows what he's talking about. Let's give him a call. And then normally it takes a few phone calls, a couple emails for more seriously interested people to, one, convey my experience, expertise, and the process. Booking a trip to the Galapagos requires some time. It's not just like going to a Disney World. You got to buy a ticket tomorrow and show up. You got to find the right boat that has availability for you and your group. If your group is more than 4 or 6 people, you got to book a year in advance. And there's a lot of details involved. You got to fly to Quito, then also fly from Quito to the Galapagos. There are park fees to pay. There are other logistical pieces that are not as easy to figure out and just show up. It's hard to show up there and say, here I am, show me the islands. It's not the best way to do it.
Right.
You could do it.
Right.
But it's not going to be as enjoyable as booking it properly through the right channels.
Right. Exactly. So we understand that building a website like this is a process, right? So talk to me about, as this was being developed, what were, for you, the important elements to have as this platform for you was being built? What were the important key bits about your message, your mission, and about how that development process happened? What did you need from that process to make sure that this was the right avenue for you?
Yes, I'd worked with Brian before on a previous website, actually 2 other websites. And so I had a good rapport with him. I like his style, and I knew that we could initially kind of brainstorm some ideas. I'm not a tech savvy guy. I don't know a thing about website development. I know the Galapagos, but not websites. And so Brian and his team, including yourself, your expertise was super helpful, even from the first moment of talking about a logo and kind of the overall feel of the site and what I wanted to convey. I wanted it to be elegant. I wanted to, bend more towards the luxury market. And I wanted it to be clear and concise without being too much information. And so Brian was really helpful, saying, I think you need to say a few things like this, or that's too much wording. How can we abbreviate this section? These pictures look good together. We need a video here. And so getting his input, and then throughout the process, having that being refined and discussed, it took a lot of time, but it was well worth it. The final product, I think, speaks for itself now.
Yeah, the site is beautiful, and I love your logo. I think that's a great design for you.
Thank you. I wanted
to be kind of come across somebody else with
serious,
Yeah. Agreed. So if you were to come across anyone else with similar business ambitions, they've been to a place in the world that they've fallen in love with, they've grown up learning the culture, and they want to help people learn more about it and facilitate their experiences with it, what would your tips be, like things to keep in mind as they approach developing that concept into a business?
Yeah, great question. So one, I would say have a second source of revenue or income at the same time, because starting that kind of a small business takes time, and It's not a
Right. Right.
big moneymaker, right? This is a lifestyle business, as they call it. I may get
Mm-hmm.
a couple free trips here and there, or discounted trips, and that's awesome. But it's not a hugely, wildly, successful financial enterprise. I do it much more out of passion and interest
Right.
in the read, helping people. So, so I do a couple other things on the side as well, and kind of keep a busier life that way, and have more income. But I would also say to people, definitely think about how much time you can give to it, and be prepared to be working nights and weekends and random times. Because someone calls me tonight at 8 p.m. for a trip,
Yeah.
I'm taking that phone call because that's my bread and butter, right? And so,
Right.
just kind of a small business mentality, I guess, is the one thing. On the flip side of that, I would say make sure you really know your geography and what you're selling. I really believe that I only want to
Right.
sell places that I know well. I wouldn't want to sell you a trip to Vietnam tomorrow.
Right.
Yeah, I've been there. I liked Vietnam.
So what would you? Oh, you have? Oh, that's great. I personally have not found myself traveling enough. I need to find opportunities to explore the world a bit more. So I might give you a call at some point in the future.
Nice. I'm glad to hear that.
So for anyone who has, like me, only ever watched the Jeff Corwin show and knows very, very little about the Galapagos, but would like to, if they come across you through this episode and they want to learn more, how many ways in which can they reach out to you? Where can they see you?
They can reach out to me through email, phone call. I would say text, but I'm much more of an emailer,
There.
preferably. I'm on WhatsApp, which is a very common, texting platform that most of the world uses religiously. I think in the States it's not nearly as common, but so when I'm traveling, I'm always on my WhatsApp, checking that for messages, and it's easy to stay in touch with voice notes and everything else. But I'm very connected. Just prefer email and phone calls.
All right. I'll make sure everyone is aware of your website in the description for this episode. I appreciate you joining me on, and I would love to have a conversation with you in the future. 100%.
Thank you, Brandon. Much appreciated.